approcher, la lumière est mon sauveur. Je ne crains rien. Il est mon rempart et mon ferme soutien. De qui pourrais-je avoir peur?
Shalom. Today we have our Bible Nuggets number 35, coming from Job chapter 2, verse 13. It reads, So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great. Of recent, we saw how when Job's friends came, they could not recognize him because he was totally transformed, unrecognizable. And here in the verse, we see that his friends sat down, and culturally it was something right to sympathize with him in doing that. And while sitting, we will see what they were thinking about. But the fact of sitting instructs us about the ministry of presence, just being present, just being by the side of the sick person. It relieves, it helps. In 2007, in Cameroon, there was a crash, and that was a plane for Kenya Airways at Mbanga Pongo, for those who can still remember. And I was selected in the team that had to work with the members of the families of victims of that crash. And I remember one evening around 9 p.m., after a busy day, I was called back to a hotel where they found a lady who has been sitting on the ground the whole day, not accepting to eat or drink, nothing, because she lost her only son, who was an international referee in Cameroon. I have to remove my jacket and sit down by her side, and by God's grace, minister to her in this area of spiritual care. And at the end of it, glory be to God, she was able to receive this hope and wake up and eat and drink, and actually we had to thank God for that ministry. When we consider Job's friends, when they sat down, the second part of the verse allows us to understand what they were thinking, because that second part is the conclusion of what they have been thinking. The second part says, they saw that his grief was very great. In other words, while sitting down, they have been analyzing, weighing, thinking, measuring the pain that Job was having, trying to understand what was responsible of that situation. In spiritual care, that doesn't help. I think it's good to share a promise before we conclude in that regard. In Psalms chapter 115 and verse 8 and 9. Verse 8, they that make them are like unto them. You are the product of what you contemplate, of what you think. But especially verse 9, O Israel, trust thou in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. You know, my friend, do not spend much time just thinking about the pain, the disease, and analyzing and weighing. No, you have instead to think about the road of discovery, of recovery, the road of recovery. And that's the reason why you have to think and trust the Lord even the more in a situation like this, because all his promises are there to encourage you that he will not forsake you. Hold thou trust into the Lord. Let's close with these words of prayer. In this world of deep grief, we come to you because we believe that there is no situation you cannot exceed. We thank you because we know you as the Almighty God. We submit to you all cases of disease where you desire to use us as instruments of healing. May you bless the drugs given to the sick and surround our practice of spiritual care to them. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Mon âme espère en l'Éternel, mon âme espère en l'Éternel, qu'un chant s'élève au Dieu du ciel, qu'un chant s'élève au Dieu du ciel, mon âme espère en l'Éternel.